Hey, how's it going, guys? So, I may have jumped a gun a little bit last time, saying that early September was Halloween season. But I think now we can safely say that it is, in fact, Halloween season. And so, we're going to continue on with our theme of creepy, spooky photoshopping, but we're going to do something a little more Halloween specific. And that is the legend of Stingy Jack. Now, if you're not familiar with the legend of Stingy Jack, essentially what the story is, in a nutshell, it's an old Irish folklore legend, and how it goes is Stingy Jack is a guy who lived centuries ago in Ireland, and he was a liar, a cheat, a thief, a gambler, a drunk, just an all-around bad guy. And so much so that when he died, he was rejected by both heaven and hell. So he was doomed to walk the earth for all of eternity with nothing but a carved-out turnip lit with a single ember from hell to use as a lantern to guide his way. And then that became their tradition of the jack-o'-lantern, and when that moved to America, they started carving pumpkins instead of turnips because they were larger and just easier to carve in general. Now, from what I can tell, there isn't any really appearance associated with Stingy Jack. The legend didn't really talk about how Jack looked, so it's open for interpretation. Our version of Jack is going to be sort of a grotesque, half man, half pumpkin type monster, so that should be pretty fun to put together. We're going to start off with Jack's head, and I think that's going to be the most difficult and also the most fun part to do, because that's going to be where most of the grotesque pumpkin details are going to be. So let's grab our first picture. And we have this guy here taking a selfie. I assume this is for his Tinder profile. I'm sure he gets lots of swipes. I'm just going to use my pen tool and I'm going to clip out what I need. Alright, so let's make a selection and copy and paste that. Alright, so I have my basic head selection I'm going to start out with, but I also want to get all these little hairs right here. I want to get his beard hairs, and I want to get all these nice little wispy hairs on the top of his head as well. I'm going to go to my lasso tool, and I'm just going to select a little bit underneath them, up in here, and then I'm going to select a little bit over them, just so I have a general selection of all the hair. And I'm going to copy and paste that. And I'm going to go to my channels and find the channel with the most contrast. And that looks like our red, so we're going to copy our reds. And I'm going to go to my levels. And I'm just going to bring up those blacks and bring up the whites. Not too much. I don't want to lose the hairs up here. See, if I bring up the blacks too much, I start to lose those hairs, and I don't want that. I want to preserve these nice little wisps of hair, so we'll go right about there. And we'll go into our burn tool on shadows, and we're just gonna very carefully darken all that up. Again, we don't want to take out too much of the hair. And now let's go in with our dodge tool on highlights, and we'll just lighten that up a little bit. Now you can see here he's wearing glasses, and we don't want those glasses, so I'm just going to go with the paintbrush, and I'm going to paint out those glasses with black. And here too, there was a part of his shirt that was very light, and so there we don't get any hairs, so I'm just going to paint out that part there. Alright, so I think that should be good, so let's just select that and copy and paste that. And let's just put that on a solid background so we can see our selection better. Alright, so we did a pretty good job getting our hair. And there was that section here where his shirt was, so I'm just going to fill that in. So I'm just going to try and clone stamp that out. Just take some of these down here, put them up there, and these down here. I got a little spot there I need to erase. And then I'm going to do the same thing where its glasses were. I'm just going to clone stamp all that out. Okay, so we got our head started. So I'm just going to merge those. And I'm going to make a new document. Just call it Stingy Jack. And I'm just going to drag that head in that file. And I'm just going to drop in a solid fill background just so we have something to work off of. And I'm going to flip his head horizontally. And it's going to go right about there. That's about where we want him. So let's get our second picture. And from this guy here, I'm going to get his entire eye area. I'm just going to path out generally where I need. I'm just doing a very rough selection. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to bring that in here. And we're just going to line up these eyes over the other eyes. And they should line up pretty good. Let me turn down the opacity. And the reason I did that is I like this guy's eyes just a little better than his eyes. And also he's wearing glasses. I could get rid of these glasses with a combination of clone stamping and just painting them out, but I think his eyes look better anyway. So I think this is our better option. So I'm gonna put a mask on that. I'm gonna just fade the two sections together. Alright, so I'm just going to tweak the eye layer a little bit just to get it to match our head layer a little more. Just going to bring over the whites and darken the whole area up. And I'm just going to change the color on our bottom head just a little bit to match the top one. You know, I got really lucky with these two pictures because they actually line up pretty good. They don't line up perfectly, but they don't need to line up perfectly because our character is going to be sort of a grotesque monster. So if his features are a little distorted and a little off, it's not a big deal because it'll just add to the grotesqueness of the character. Grotesqueness? That might be a word. Sure, we'll say it is. So I think I'm going to go into Liquify and just exaggerate his eyes a little more. Like maybe make this one a little bigger. See how that looks. Oh yeah, I like that. That's nice. He's a little more bug-eyed and creepy. Okay. I like that, that's good. And I'm just going to darken up this area right here. Actually, you know what? I just got an idea while working on this. Let's go back into Liquify. And since he's going to be sort of like half pumpkin jack-o'-lantern, let's take his eye bags and make them a little triangular. And I think that will help exaggerate the pumpkin quality of him. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to make a new layer and put it on soft light and clip it to that layer. And I think I'm just going to darken up his eyes a little bit. And also what I'm going to do eventually, I'm going to make his eyes and his mouth glow like a jack-o'-lantern. Let's add in the side of his head right here. So let's pull up our next photo. And for this one, we have like this zombie monster rendering. So we're just gonna get the side of his head and maybe a little bit of his neck too. And I can probably just magic wand his head out first. And then just take my lasso and I'm just gonna, let's see, just make a general selection about there to there. I'm not sure how much I want, but it's better to take more than not enough. And copy that. It's a funny face, I can't help it. And paste that in. And I'm just going to reflect that. And just generally line him up. Yeah, these pictures line up pretty good, so I got lucky finding these. And let's see, do I want it in back or in front? If I put it in the back, he kind of looks like a zombie wearing a human mask, doesn't he? That's kind of funny. But I'll put it in front. So that looks generally where we want him. And so let's put a mask on that. Turn that back up to 100% first. And let's just blend those two sections together. You know, he almost looks like Freddy Krueger. He does a little bit, right? Let's try doing like a color overlay of some of that skin color. And maybe put it on soft light. All right, that's looking nice and grotesque. I told you, this is gonna be the fun part. I mean, the whole thing will be fun, but this will be the most fun part. Alright, so let's start adding in some pumpkin details to our character. And I have some perfect pictures here. I have some pictures of these pumpkins that have those little grotesque bumpy parts on them. I'm not sure if they have a name, but they'll just help make our character look a little more grotesque and unnerving. So let's start with this one right here. And I should just be able to use the magic wand tool. And I'm just gonna select this section. Let's just say this section right there. And let's see what we can do with that. So I'm going to try to blend that into his head right around there. So let's put a mask on that layer. And I'm just going to blend in that gross, bumpy, pumpkin-y goodness with his head. Maybe turn that saturation down. All right, so let's go back to that pumpkin picture. And maybe grab some more of these bumps. Let's try grabbing this cluster of bumps right here. Maybe have it like right there. Let's put a mask on that and blend that together a little bit. Ooh, starting to make your skin crawl, right? Which is good. Let's grab another section, like this section right here. And maybe put those right about there on top of his head. And let's just play with our hue saturation just to get it to match the skin tone a little better. And let's pump up the highlights on these bumps. So I'm gonna copy that layer and I'm gonna clip it to that layer. I'm gonna clip the copy to that layer and put that on lighten. Then I'm gonna desaturate it. And I'm gonna go to my levels and I'm just gonna bring up those blacks. Just so we match the nice rim lighting on his head. And let's start to mask that off, so it blends nicely into the forehead. And for over here, I think I'm going to use the pen tool, and so I can get a nice crisp edge on these. And I'm just going to completely get rid of that section. And same with these here. I'm just going to see if I can't get them to match the skin tone a little bit better. All right, so let's give Jack some nasty teeth like a jack-o'-lantern. And I have the perfect picture for that. Sorry, it's very gross, I know, but it'll fit our picture well. You can fast forward to this part if these teeth are too gross. I'm sorry. I'm sorry they're very gross, but just bear with me. And let's path out our gross bottom teeth. And I'm pretty sure this guy hasn't brushed since never. And let's paste in those nasty teeth. And I think maybe we need to reflect those horizontally. And let's cut those teeth so we have the bottom teeth separate from the top teeth. And we're going to need to darken those teeth up a bunch. And let's copy those layer adjustments and we'll add those to the back teeth. Or bottom teeth, excuse me. And let's group those and just call them bad teeth. So I'm going to make a path around the inside of his mouth. I'm just going to select that. Then I'm going to make a clipping mask on the teeth. So we get something like that. Okay, that looks nice and gross. Alright, so I don't want to get too wrapped up with the details of his head in this video, so let's start laying in some of his body. So for his clothing, I have these this image of this guy dressed as like a Revolutionary War soldier. So I'm probably gonna have to combine a couple of these pictures to get the exact proportions and look I want. So let's start with this one here. Alright, so let's select that. And let's bring that in. And I'm just going to warp that jacket to fit a little more of the shape I want. Right back here. And let's kick this leg out a little more here. All right, so let's go back to our those pictures. And let's get this one next. And I just like the way the side of the coat is in this picture. So we're gonna grab the side of the coat on this one. All right, so I'm going to select that, bring that over to our Jack picture, and reflect that. So his coat I can probably put that right about there. Hopefully we can just fade these two sections together pretty nicely, and it looks like we can. Now let's just kind of fade that off back there. And let's go into our other jacket and fade that side off. And let's make another layer behind both of those. And I'm just gonna paint in that jacket. Take a sample out of this one. Just blend those pieces together. So let's add in Jack's hand next. We're gonna add in the hand that's holding the his turnip lantern. So for that, I'm gonna use this picture here. This isn't a turnip, obviously, but we can make it a turnip later. So let's just clip out the hand. And I think that should be enough of the arm, so let's go over here. And we don't need to clip out the melon, so we're just gonna cut all this off. And we're gonna bring that in behind the jacket. So over here, he's gonna be holding up his lit up turnip. His lit up turnip with the ember from hell inside. Let's rotate his whole body a little bit like that. And we'll call that hand. And I'm just gonna put an adjustment on that. See if I can't get those colors to match a little better to the rest of Jack. Okay, so let's add in his coat sleeve on this hand. So I think I should have a picture that should work for that. And yeah, this one here, that should suffice. It's a little blurry, but let's just see if we can make it work. It might be okay. So let's paste in that coat sleeve. Yeah, that might just be a little too blurry. We might need to use another picture, unfortunately. But that's all right. We'll handle that later. But for now, let's do his second hand. And this picture is not blurry, so it'll work out just fine. I'm hoping maybe we can just magic wand this to save us some time with the pen tool. So I'm going to inverse that, and I'm going to feather that out just a little bit, like a 0.5. And I'm just going to contract it, maybe like 2. I think that should be good. All right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that'll work. That edge is pretty good. So let's just select this hand. And I'm going to copy that. Paste that in above the coat. And he's going to be kind of reaching out for us. So his hand's going to be right about there. And I need to mask off the bottom of the arm because the arm isn't quite in the right position I need it at. So let's just mask that off. And we're just going to make that hand a little bit darker to match everything else. And now let's add in the sleeve for this hand here. So we're going to go back to our coat pictures. And this one here, or here. Yeah, this one here should work out well. And I'm just going to roughly cut down here, just so I have a nice section to blend with the other one. All right, now we're just going to flip that horizontal, turn that hand off. I think we can just pretty easily blend it in with the other coat. So maybe the hand should be up a little higher, like that. Let's put a mask on that sleeve section. And just blend that in. And I don't want to keep his coat blue. I want to make it maybe like a purple color. So let's just make a hue saturation adjustment level and clip it to that coat layer. And let's see what we can do as far as color. Let's keep it at that color for now, but I'm gonna need to mask off this part here because it got a little green with my hue adjustment. So I'm gonna keep our purple, but I'm gonna mask this part off here so it goes back to the tan color it was before. And so we're going to do the same thing to the sleeve. So let's copy that adjustment layer, but let's delete that mask and clip that to the sleeve and just mask out where we don't want that color. Alright, so we got a lot of Jack's body laid in today. We did a lot of work on his head. We added some gruesome, pumpkin-y bump details, but I'm going to call it a night for now. I hope you had fun watching me. I had fun putting this together. And so I hope you stay tuned for the next videos in this series. But for now, thank you for watching and take care.